What's up, y'all? Got some DraftKings Week 7 sleeper picks. All right, let's get to it. This week we got I'm going with Brock Osweiler at home with the Dolphins against the Lions. I think Osweiler is going to get into a little bit of a shootout here with the Lions. That's what the Lions like to do, is get into a shootout with Stafford. Osweiler will benefit, I think, against the Lions defense. A little bit weak against the pass. Next up, I got Matt Ryan. He's $6,500. At $6,500, however, I still think that Matt Ryan will do a decent job. He should produce against the Giants at home on the turf. Probably going to get into a shootout there as well. So for $6,500, Matt Ryan should do pretty well for the money. Next, I've got Trubisky. Now, Mitchell Trubisky playing against the Patriots at home, 5,600. A lot of people may be afraid of the Patriots, but I think that Trubisky, based on what they've been doing recently, he should be able to outperform his $5,600 price. Maybe a high-scoring game. I think the defense is going to be able to get out of Brady, get after Brady, and give Trubisky a lot of short fields, so he may be able to put 2-3 touchdowns on the board. Now I've got Carson Wentz as well. Carson Wentz at home against Carolina, $6,000. Wentz probably going to outperform that 6,000 against Carolina. Probably going to get into a little bit of a shootout. Carolina will be a little bit tough against the run. Ron Rivera coaching that team. Ex-linebacker likes to stop the run. So look for Wentz. Wentz to outperform his $6,000. Next, I've got Baker Mayfield playing in Tampa Bay. He's $5,800. Tampa's had a strong run defense, weak pass defense pretty much all year. They get into shootouts. Mayfield is going to be, in my opinion, benefiting from that from the fantasy standpoint. Also, we got Eli Manning in Atlanta, $5,200 on the turf. Probably going to be another shootout. Eli Manning for $5,200 is probably going to be a steal. And let's move on to the running backs. Nick Chubb. Now, Carlos Hyde was traded to the Jaguars this week. Nick Chubb moved up to the number one slot, playing in Tampa, who's weak against the run. Playing in Tampa, who plays decent against the run, but is probably going to be a shootout. He's only $3,600. Look for Nick Chubb to make a little bit of a breakout. Tampa's a little bit stout against the run, so don't expect him to do too much. But for $3,600, I think he has the opportunity, in the fact this is probably going to be a shootout, to get into the end zone a couple of times. All right, now next we got Frank Gore. Frank Gore with the Miami Dolphins playing at home against the Detroit Lions. Weak against the run. He's $3,800. Another really cheap guy that you can use to add value to your lineup. I think Gore is going to get quite a few carries. He's been picking up more and more as the season's been along. They've been giving him more carries because Gore is Gore. He produces. He gets yards. He fights for yards. And I think the more that they play, the more they will give him the ball. And I think it will definitely come out against the weak Lions run defense. Now, next guy we've got Duke Johnson. Duke Johnson with the Buccaneers, $4,000. Now, as I was saying with Chubb is good because he's cheap. Buccaneers have a tough run defense, but it's liable to be a shootout, which means that they're going to be passing the ball a lot, and they're going to be throwing the ball to Duke Johnson in those tough situations. At $4,000, Duke Johnson looks to outperform his numbers as well. I kind of like both those running backs in this game. I think they both outperform their price. Next, I've got LeGarrette Blount. He's playing in Miami in short yardage situations. I expect LeGarrette Blount to come through, probably get a touchdown, maybe two. For $3,700, if you need somebody to fill out your roster, Blunt's a good option as well, especially since Theo Riddick is out. With Riddick being out, Blunt's liable to get a few more carries than normal. Now, Jamal Charles. Jamal Charles with the Jaguars. He only had one real game last week, five carries. But the fact that they brought in Carlos Hyde because they don't really like the performance of T.J. Yeldon. Since Yeldon is not really preferred right now, and Hyde's probably not going to play, this may be the one week that you can sneak some points out of Jamal Charles for $3,000. That's probably going to be a pretty good value if you've really got only a few bucks left to fill out your roster. Jamal Charles with Jacksonville, playing at home against Houston. He's probably going to get the ball a few times. They'll try him out to see what he can do, because they are not satisfied with Yeldon in the absence of Leonard Fournette, and they obviously want to run the football, and that's their staple, that's their go-to. Now, a wide receiver. For this week, I am on the Tre'Quan Smith bandwagon. Tre'Quan Smith with New Orleans, they're going to have a tough game going up against Baltimore and being the number 3 receiver. Anybody that knows anything about me knows that I like the third receiver up against tough defenses with quarterbacks that like to throw the ball all over the place, like Drew Brees. So Tre'Quan Smith, I expect to get quite a few looks in this game, unless they really try to come up and stick a number 1 or 2 corner on, which I really don't expect them to do that with Meredith and Thomas being out there. So Tre'Quan Smith is liable to shine again at $3,700. Next, I've got Kiki Coty at Jacksonville for the same reason. Third receiver with Houston. Jacksonville's got the tough pass defense, tough corners. So the third receiver is like to see some action in that game for $4,300. He's worth a look. Now, Albert Wilson, Miami Dolphins. Albert Wilson at home against Detroit for $4,000. He seems to be moving his way up in the depth chart. Miami is shopping Devontae Parker at this time, which means that they obviously seem to like Albert Wilson and some of the other receivers a little bit better. So with Devontae Parker possibly moving out of there, looks like Albert Wilson is moving up in the depth chart. And for $4,000, he's probably worth the value in the game. It's liable to be another shootout with Miami playing at home against Detroit. Now, next I've got Damian Ratley. He is Cleveland's third receiver, $3,600, playing in Tampa. Same thing, Antonio Callaway, Cleveland's second receiver, $4,300. Both those guys are worth a shot if you've got the money to go at them, or to pick them up. For the money, playing in Tampa, the game is liable to be another shootout this week. We're looking at a lot of them. Those guys are probably going to get the ball at some point. Jarvis Landry is a little bit overpriced. I think they're going to spread the ball around in this one, because that's what Tampa's defense is going to give up. So look for both of those guys to come through, I'd say, in this one. Now, a tight end. Nick O'Leary. $2,600 for the Buffalo Bills. And why am I so big on Nick O'Leary? Nick O'Leary is coming to play in South Florida. Nick O'Leary, son of Jack Nicklaus, is from South Florida. I've seen Nick O'Leary. I live in the area. I've been in the restaurant with Nick O'Leary on more than one time. His family lives around here, which means that he is going to have his family, which is a prominent, wealthy family from the golfing world, but also part of the sports world, to be in this game. Nick O'Leary, $2,600 with the Bills, playing in Miami. He is going to get the football. I am pretty sure of that one. I'm willing to mark that one down. I really like Nick O'Leary in this game coming up, because they're going to want him to show out in front of his family members. And because his family members are rich and prominent people, then I think that the Buffalo Bills will be more than willing to oblige him in the fact that they could get some further benefits further down the road by obliging Nick O'Leary and the Nicholas family. So I look for Nick O'Leary to do a little something there in Miami at $2,600. I think he's definitely worth a look. He can catch the football, went to Florida State. He's got a local following, and you know how guys like to show out when they're back home. I mean, that you just check that in the record books. Next, I've got C.J. Zuma. He's with the Bengals. Going against the Chiefs. Chiefs will run a little soft. He's tight end. So for $3,400, Azuma, I think, is probably going to outperform his $3,400 range. I don't really like any other tight ends besides those two, but O'Leary, you got to keep an eye on him. He's got the perfect setup for the dream story, which they like to set up on purpose, win or lose. Now, for defense and special teams, I'm going to go with the Jets. Once again, $2,100. They're playing Minnesota. Minnesota may put up a few points, but the defensive scoring really doesn't have as much to do with the points that are scored against them as much as it has to do with the other points the defense and special teams can accumulate off of touchdowns and off of sacks and so on and so forth. So I still think the Jets defense is a really good play for $2,100 playing at home. Now, I also have Chicago. They're $2,500. They're playing the Patriots, but once again, the Patriots will put up a lot of points, but I still think that they will be able to put Brady on his ass 2 or 3 times this game, and so that's going to rack up a few points. They may be able to get a pick, possibly a pick 6. So I think Chicago is a good play, even though they are playing the Patriots. Now, Baltimore as well. They're playing at home against New Orleans. Drew Brees, you know he's going to throw the ball at some point in this game, and I think Baltimore's defense is going to be all about it. They may give up a few points, but I think their ability to make points off of sacks and interceptions and possibly defensive points will overcome that. So for $2,400, I like Baltimore as well. Not as much of the Jets, though. So for one little bonus here, I'm going to give you my picks for NASCAR for the Hollywood Casino 400. I'm going to go with True Jr., Bush, Blaney, Elliott. And, fill out the other 2 with whoever you can afford. So that's a little bonus tip there. All right, that's my fantasy picks for this week. I think there's going to be a lot of shootouts. It's really going to be tough a tough week, in my opinion, to pick the top gunners. There may be no 1 or 2 top gunners in this week because there's a likelihood for a lot of points to be scored with these games that are lined up. So, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoyed or get something out of this video and you feel inclined to donate, then please donate to my GoFundMe page. In the meantime, we're going to work on some other picks here. And we also have got the Breeders' Cup Classic coming up in a few weeks. So we're definitely going to have picks for that and some analysis on all the horses contending on that one. The Horse Racing Championship of the World. So thank you for watching once again. My name is Nathan Shepard, and tune in next time, please. Thank you and good night.